Hello and welcome to Read Brave, a community-built comics podcast. From the Graphomania Podcast Network, I'm Vinton Bain, and today I am joined with owner of New World Comics in Oklahoma City, Buck.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Buck, the way we like to start this podcast off is by asking, what have you been reading lately?
Well, lately not as much stuff as I like because I've been getting ready for Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
But what I have been able to read, anything at Marvel that has like female leads is typically like the best stuff ever.
You and I are a lot alike in that way.
Oh my God. Like the Wasp right now is my favorite Marvel title.
I'm liking it a lot.
Oh my God.
It's so fun.
It makes me want a daughter. Like it's the greatest damn thing. But there are other things that I read monthly and I always kind of forget about. Like Silver Surfer is just one of the...
Man, that's one I've been meaning to catch up with so bad, and I just haven't.
Well,
I need to so much.
And I always slip back on it, and then I'll catch back up and think, oh my God, why did I slip up on this? It's just so good. And almost everything DC lately has just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's got like 5 bad things, and then everything else at its very worst is okay. Superman and Batman and Super Sons are like the best.
Super Sons I am loving. I really like the interaction between Superman and Batman, and seeing that interaction between them as kids pretty much is fantastic.
Flash has been phenomenal. Hellblazer even, it's kind of weird seeing him get put, the toothpaste getting put back in the tube, so to speak, of no, let's kid friendly him. Well, as much as you could kid friendly, John Constantine, but it's really kind of neat to see him work within the universe and be part of it again.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for me, I read this past couple weeks because we took a week off here. I read The Button, 2 issues, the Batman and the Flash. It's the only issue of the Flash I've read since Rebirth, because I don't keep up with the Flash. I like the Flash, but it's like one of those things where I'll just read like a little bit here or there of Flash. I'm having a hard time. I've mentioned this on the podcast before, trying to keep up with all the DC stuff because I'm such a Marvel fanboy that my heart's there, my time is there.
Right.
But also Batman, so I stick with Batman as well.
Well, sure. Well, with Flash, he always kind of has that Marvel feel because he's always positive. If you're getting a sad sack issue of Flash, then you're not really reading the Flash. But to go back on like the Batman issue of The Button, there's so much there that I went back and reread it, and like when Zoom was sitting there, smiling at Batman spits on his face and it hits the little blood streak. And you realize, oh my God, that's the Watchman button. Oh, he just buttoned him.
I like that. I like that phrase.
Well, because not to spoil anything, but at the end of the issue, we see what happens, and what happens when you get buttoned. I guess we should.
Yeah, when you actually get buttoned.
Yeah. So it was just a brilliant use of thing. It was the perfect love letter to Watchmen.
Yeah. I had my hesitations about this event because as far as Watchmen is itself concerned, like as a graphic novel, it's good. Like I've heard a lot of good things. I still haven't read it. You're gonna be mad at me about that. I bought it from you. I bought it from you. I think maybe last time I was even in. I don't remember now, but I still haven't got to it. Don't hate me. But
it is the greatest graphic novel ever written, and
I really appreciate it as the format from what I know of it and everything. But as far as them bringing it into the DC universe, I don't know if I care.
It's such a sacred thing, really. For me, it's something that I read once a year. Mm-hmm. And I always find something new.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with the annotated version of The Watchmen, which I'm almost afraid to read because it'll just have all of the answers there for me.
Yeah.
It's like reading The Watchmen is essentially like reading the Bible because there's so many different interpretations to it.
Yeah.
And it by the end of it, if you've read it as many times as many other fans have, it's such a personal thing.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, you have Death of the Author. The annotated version is just going to tell you what the people who created it thought. You're going to have different thoughts, and you're going to see new things that they didn't even see. So you'll still be able to get something out of it, even with the annotated version.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me them bringing the Watchmen into the DC universe, since those characters were just built off of characters to reflect certain characters that couldn't be used for that title.
Right. Yeah. And it makes me wonder, I try not to look too far into the previews just to,
right.
Because things change and then, things get spoiled and, on this side of the business, too much gets spoiled too often that you have to know and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
That I've tried my darndest to not know what they're doing Watchmen wise, like if they're bringing back
Right.
Rorschach or if they're bringing back,
Sure.
Anyway, so it makes me wonder, like, obviously Manhattan's gonna have to show up because he's
definitely doing some
he's
stuff.
the guy. Yeah, but like, will he run into the question and be like, hey, I knew a guy like you.
Yeah,
You
that'd
know?
be really funny if they do that. Like, not even necessarily purposefully as a big company, but if some of the writers throw in some in jokes and panels and things like that, that'd be really great.
Right. Or if Captain Adam flies by and was like, hey, I feel like I know that guy.
Yeah. Well, I had my hesitations about moving into Batman issue 21. Coming off of issue 20, I really enjoyed, but now we're starting the Button event. And I didn't know anything really about the Watchmen coming in. I've kind of stayed away from the news about it just because mostly I just didn't know if I even cared. And I was glad to find out that I only had to read The Flash and Batman. I didn't have to read like 20 titles like Marvel usually does with their events.
And DC's been so good about that with the banners across the top of their comics, you can really jump in wherever it says, part 1. That's a brand new jumping in point, and it'll give you a casual recap in the first 3 or 4 pages, and it'll make sure that you're caught up as a reader to what's been going on, and you can just kind of go.
Yeah. I was really great seeing Batman take on a speedster. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And even though that he was kind of getting beat up, that he still could hold his own for a little bit at least against someone that super powered.
Well, and it just reinforces that, those of us in Camp Batman that are like, oh, Batman can beat anyone.
I'm in that camp.
Oh, right. No, yeah. Yeah, I've been plunging that since 3rd, 4th grade. As soon as I realized, wait, Batman has contingencies for everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is I usually say when people say, well, Batman couldn't take anybody, I'm like, well, given enough time and planning, he definitely could.
Yeah.
But when he surprise attacked like that, it's awesome just to see that Batman still has some things that he can do to hold his own for a while, at least, even in a surprise attack by a speedster.
Yeah, and he's obviously been thinking about this, for the just in case, and that's Batman.
Yeah, and that issue got me excited, and so I picked up the Flash issue that came after it, continuing the event, and like I said earlier, I only was reading this because it was connected to Batman, and I've been trying to stay caught up with Batman, but it turns out that I love Flash and Batman together.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess I love Batman with most people, but specifically just that dynamic of them talking about crime scenes together and nerding out in that way. It was just really cool to see a detective and then someone that does crime scenes, the CSI stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is actually really cool to see them talk shop that way.
Yeah, well, and I mean, for Batman to be such a loner character that's supposed to be like, oh no, I'm alone, and he works so well with everyone.
Yeah, he really does.
And you go back to like the old Brave and the Bold comics, back when Batman was definitely like, no, I'm a loner. It's Robin or nothing. And then like every month it was, oh, hey, Metal Man, what's going on? You want to help me with this thing? Hey, Commandy, I know things are weird. Let's go punch some dog people.
I love any team that has Batman on it. I think I would be into.
Yeah.
I also read Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur issue 18. Have you read that issue yet?
Oh, my God.
It was really wonderful. I loved the big team up that she brought everyone together. It was so great that she called on her friends and learned something even from Devil Dinosaur here in this issue. And it's just great seeing her interact with the larger Marvel universe.
Yeah, I really, really hope that she makes it through like the 3rd or 4th pass, because every time that we have new characters, you have 3 or 4 events that, they could be killed in.
Yeah.
Because if usually the first event, they're safe because they're the, brand new character. Second event, it's iffy. Third event, by then they're usually ingratiated into the Marvel universe. And then after that, it's okay, how well have you held your own?
Yeah.
And if not, then look, you're cannon fodder. Like look at most of the kids from the Initiative.
Right. Yeah.
Like they got killed off like second wave.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, even if they don't get killed off, sometimes they just get forgotten,
Yeah.
like lost. And they're like, yeah, they're out there in the world somewhere, and maybe some writer will come by and pick them up at some point. But who knows what they're doing or have been doing for the past 10 years?
Right. But so I really hope that she sticks around. I still have a problem with her being an Inhuman just because it feels so shoehorned in.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like important to the character either.
Right.
But it looks like they're going to build something to that toward the end of this arc. It looked like maybe they're touching on that a little more. She's discovering something more about it. So
Yeah, but I mean, not leave well enough alone? And
Yeah.
we're like, no, look, she's just the smartest girl
Right.
ever.
And then we've had 18 issues, and they've barely touched on her being an Inhuman. That was the whole thing at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. But the issue 18 here really did, I think, wrap up. It felt like a conclusion to the story thus far, even.
Right.
And so, like, now we're moving on to a new chapter. Even though we've had a couple story arcs, this feels like a conclusion to everything that's happened before.
Right. Like
So we move
if
on.
this were, if they had their druthers, this would be the hardcover.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a deluxe. It's the 18
Oh,
issues.
my God.
That would be great. They should do what they're doing with Vision that I'm super excited about, because I always joked about how they should do this, and I never thought they would, but they're releasing basically a director's cut of Vision with the 2 issues together. And
Yeah.
it's, oh man, I can't believe my jokes came true.
I've been there.
Have you been reading, speaking of jokes coming true, Great Lakes Avengers?
I'm so far behind. I've been collecting it. I haven't been reading it.
Yeah.
That's one of those that had to fall by the wayside for Free Comic Book Day. But yeah, I've been reading them ever since I discovered who they were.
Yeah. Well, I think they haven't announced anything, but this issue made it look like, and some of the news places are already reporting because of it, that it looks like this might be the last issue of Great Lakes Avengers.
I heard the spoiler. If we're
Okay, yeah.
Are we avoiding that for
Oh,
this?
no,
or-
we can totally.
Yeah,
If you don't want spoilers, skip about 30 seconds ahead.
Yeah, so I guess apparently Deadpool was like, "Hey, you can't use the Avengers anymore." But
Yeah, he shows up and tells them they're fired, and they're like, "Oh, okay," and it just says the end at the end, no question mark or anything, just the end.
yeah, which I mean, sales haven't been great on the book, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, the speculation I heard was because of the show they're doing with Squirrel Girl, that they're using a couple of the characters from that, so they're going to be just revamping it. They don't want them to use the comic anymore because of that.
Well, I mean, a couple years ago, that they all sat down and discovered, oh wait, we're all mutants, and then it was Great Lakes X-Men.
Yeah.
Essentially, the same thing happened.
Yeah, so we'll see if something else happens with that. I'm really hoping it does. The Deadpool thing was funny. He shows up and he's like,
Yeah.
"You're all fired." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "You can't use Avengers anymore." I bribed Hulk just to come down here and be able to tell you that. I have to clean his room for a week. And it's funny because Deadpool, the last guy you expect to be in Avengers, is now telling other people they can't be Avengers.
Right.
Also, I think Deadpool at the end of it says, "Maybe we'll try this again in a few years. Who knows? In the meantime, I'm off to have multiple adventures a month," which is great. But there was a part of that comic where they did a maneuver called Maneuver 33, and there was a giant monster, and they basically slingshotted using Flatman, Mr. Immortal at the monster with Doorman in front of him, and Doorman transported them inside of the monster. And it was amazing. It was everything I
wow.
wanted from this comic. So absurdly
that's great.
delightful. So I'm still loving it. I wish that it will continue. I mean, we'll see. I scoured through Twitters of the creators, and they haven't said a single thing about it. So I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
those
know.
jerks.
At this point, I probably should say that I have been keeping up with the X titles. We got a lot of issue 2s since we were back, but I liked them, but I wasn't blown away by any of the issue 2s. So there's not much for me to say about that. I'm going to keep reading them. Like I said last time on the podcast, Weapon X, I found delightful, and I didn't expect to. I didn't expect to care. I was going to give it a chance and then put it down, and it hooked me. So
Yeah. The X-Men right now, I'd say are good, solid tries. Like it's better than what we've been getting, but they really need to learn to just let go of the past and move forward. Because though they're trying to please the people that have stuck with it for the last 15 years, those are the people that are just kind of dragging it along.
Yeah.
Like, we need to find the old audience that bought X-Men every single time, as opposed to, we'll try this and try to keep this group happy. They go back to the 90s team, just, it's what everyone wants.
Yeah. I see them kind of leaning toward that. So
Yeah. And I mean, looking at this team, short of, faux Wolverine being part of,
yeah, being part of everything.
Yeah.
Because that's too much, and I need to just stop.
Oh my God.
And they bring in maybe a new Wolverine and Blue, who may be the ultimate Wolverine's son or something. I'm just done. You stop. Just one or two books, guys. That's all the character needs to be in.
Well, and I mean, X-Men gets so convoluted as it is that throwing in, Wolverine from a different dimension son.
Yeah.
Like
too much.
Yeah. I mean, when you sit and try to explain it to someone, their mind automatically shuts off.
And Marvel already said, this is a great entry point. No, well, not if you're going to do that. It's not.
Right.
It's already hard enough to say, well, this is the time displaced X-Men. The what now?
Right.
But moving past the big two, I also read God Country issue 4. Have you been reading any God Country?
No, that also is one of
Yeah.
the backups.
Oh man, it's so good. I don't have much to say about this issue except for this book continues to be a perfect balance of epic and down to earth. It's just really well done with this down home country style, but also this epic mythology action. Yeah, I definitely recommend God Country. Also read Doom Patrol #6. I'm still loving Doom Patrol.
Oh, yeah.
Doom Patrol is so fantastic. This issue, Jane comes back in a great way. I really loved it. Just some of the panels in there were amazing. Once she does come back, you see that the side of the ambulance is painted with this "Welcome Back, Jane" and this like cool '70s art.
Oh my gosh.
It's so beautiful, and the way that they're all acting like a family already. I feel like this was the gang is now back together, and now we can have some fun adventures. So it was kind of wrapping up them just picking up character by character as the issues went, and now we can do some really awesome things. I'm hoping.
I love Doom Patrol. Yeah, I can't wait to get caught up. So
yeah, it's fantastic. Have you read any of the Young Animal yet?
Oh yeah. I read almost all of it. I'm 2 or 3 behind on Doom Patrol. Cave Carson I'm caught up with. Mother Panic I'm caught up with, and Shade I think I read issue 2 or 3 and haven't.
Yeah, I'm caught up with Shade and Doom Patrol. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with Cave. I finished the arc, but I haven't started. I think there's maybe 1, maybe 2 issues out since then. And I fell real behind with Mother Panic like right after issue 2. I forgot about it and I never caught up.
Yeah. I'm sticking with it just because, since it's Gotham centered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely Bat centered too. So
yeah,
that's right up my alley.
Yeah. I'm going to see how they go. It seems neat enough, but not. It doesn't seem integral yet.
Right. I also finally read, after many, many recommendations from many people, Black Hammer Volume 1. Have you read any Black Hammer?
I have not. No, as soon as you told me about it, it was oh
man. Yeah, I cannot believe I missed out on this book for so long. It's this take on classic comic characters, going back to like the origins of comics, Golden Age, but what if they grew up kind of thing, touching on like things like Watchmen and these things, but it's all these Golden Age like heroes, and they're all reflections of heroes that actually exist in Marvel or DC. Now they're locked living on this property in this small town, and they can't get out. They're like force field locked in, and they can't figure out why that happened. They were just in the middle of a battle one time, and they got locked there, and all of them have these different problems they're dealing with. They're all getting older. They've been locked there for like 10 years. And they're just trying to figure out what to do with their lives even now. And it's just amazing. There's a lot of like heartbreak because Lemire's writing it. So there's a lot of sadness. But each issue of the first volume focuses on a single character, and you see how they're very much connected. Like there's a girl who, when she says her magic word, she goes from being an adult to a young girl. She's basically Shazam except flipped. There is an old witch lady who is every horror comic. Her comic is introduced like a horror comic. She talks to you and says, "Turn back now before you."
Oh, that's awesome.
It's amazing. So yeah, there's all these great parallels in it, and anybody that like has any backing in Golden Age comics, any knowledge of that, or even from the movies, just the things that we've gotten from that somewhat, this comic will definitely get you and do something new.
So it's written for me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly it is.
Oh, I can't wait. As soon I should be getting that in tomorrow, so I'll try to.
Yeah, you have to at least just flip through it, because if you do, you'll want to read it. I shared some panels with Joshua Under, and immediately he was like, "Okay, I'm going to go buy that. I got to find a place to buy that now." And I just read the annual as well, which they had kind of an ongoing story, but different mini stories in that, and each one was done by a different team on there. So it was really cool to see some other artists coming in and working on the comic and doing their kind of take on it, and seeing a cool story that told even more of some of the background from those characters. So I'm really looking forward to moving on with that, because I think there's 2 more issues out now, but I'm going to hold off because I think I'm going to talk about that on another podcast I do, Excelsior, and break down the story of it. So I don't want to get moving too far into that, because then I'll forget what issues were in volume 1 and talk too far. So that's what I read the past 2 weeks since we took a week off. Now let's get to the meat of what we're here for. Free Comic Book Day, New World Comics.
Yeah.
First, I'm sure everyone knows what Free Comic Book Day is. It's a day when the shops hand out free comics. There's great sales. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Is there any comics that you got in that you're really into and really think people should check out?
You mean as far as the free ones?
Yeah.
Well, the Secret Empire one, I really don't want to just because it's just a heavy-handed here's your evil Captain America. You have to deal with it. It's dealt with so well in these issues. And the free comic book day one kind of spells out some really cool stuff. And has it's got a hell of a final page on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll get some news. Uh, but yeah, this year's batch just seems like a really, really, really cool batch. The Wonder Woman comic, I haven't had a chance to flip through yet, but I mean, it's probably going to be a reprint of the Rebirth one,
Okay.
which is perfect for everyone because everyone should be reading it.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to sit down and flip through all of my freebies
Sure.
yet, but it looks like it's going to be a great lot of comics.
Awesome. So what are you as a shop, New World Comics here in Oklahoma City, doing on Free Comic Book Day?
Well, as per usual, just so I can say that I'm out doing every other shop, I'm going to be up here for 24 hours straight.
Yep.
We're doing our 24-hour sale. This year we have the Batcave up. I kept it up from Batman Day, and we've improved upon in a few areas.
Yeah, the Batcave is awesome. There's a whole corner of the shop. Since you can't see this maybe I'll even post a picture. Maybe I'll take some pictures and post this with the episode.
Maybe not right now. It's
yeah, on Free Comic Day, I'll take some pictures and post it up or something. Look at the Twitter feed. We'll get something. But yeah, it's a great corner of the shop that's made to look like the Batcave. It's really awesome. You, I think, outdid yourself when you first did it, and that you're just making it better each time.
Yeah, there are some of the things that are kind of happy accidents. Like my nephew outgrew the Robin suit that I made him. And instead of throwing it out, I thought, oh man, I just need to go get a piece of plexiglass and we can make the old Robin memorial.
It was so perfect.
Yeah, it's just so sad. I mean, anytime I have it on full display, my wife will walk by and just be like, oh, Robin. And the X-Men machine that we have, every year I love having it on, I love letting everyone play it, but last year, the staff said that if they heard Colossus roar one more time, they'd all quit. So this year we're taking a year off of that, and we're running the X-Men machine as the Bat computer. And we'll have Batman the animated series playing all day.
That's awesome. Can you hook up like something to the arcade game and play something through it?
Yeah, we just have a flat screen strapped to the front of it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
If we wanted to be really clever, we could get in through the back and put things up because they're just monitors.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat way that they have it set up. Like there's a mirror system. Like one of the monitors is shining forward, and one of them is shining up from the bottom.
Right.
So it's not just back heavy.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, we're just going the super easy way.
That seems like a better way to do it.
Yeah.
It seems convoluted to try to get it to play on both screens in one flip.
Yeah. So
what kind of sales can people expect here if they're in the Oklahoma City area coming by?
Well, we try to do a normal 20% off sale for the normal duration of the day. And then after that, as the night progresses, the sales just get better.
Yeah.
And it kind of breaks down to what are you after as far as stuff. Like if you're looking for, certain back issues, there are certain times that are better for you. If you're looking for toys or statue, just any of that kind of stuff. It really depends on how much you're buying, what you're going for. And we have people that come in and like kind of sit down and plan and try to budget right there of, okay, I'll come in at 9 a.m. for that thing. I'll come in at 6:30 and wait around for this to turn 7 and get that. And then I'll come back at 3 and get that.
Yep. And then you have the people who come in, make their stack, and just kind of hang out in the shop.
Yeah.
And wait for the perfect times to buy.
Yeah. And it's always fun to see the people that try to hoard everything days before. And then, which, I mean, if someone's clever enough to come by and put it in a place where it's not going to be in our way, more power to you. But
this whole shop gets swept through pretty hard for Free Comic Book Day.
Well, because we have to make everything look nice and pretty, and
and find room for everything.
Right.
It's a big shop, but you get a lot of stuff in.
Oh my God, I have so much stuff. I'm working on that though.
So there will also be costumed people here all day.
Yes.
What are some of the characters that people can look forward to seeing when they come in?
We should have a Batman here for most of the day. We should have Spider-Man and Wonder Woman because those are always the crowd favorites. And then I've told all of our costume people, try to be the most popular character that you have in your arsenal and your most obscure character, because that's half the fun is coming in like, oh my God, look, there's D-Man.
Yeah. D-Man usually makes an appearance every year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and for years we had a Squirrel Girl before everyone knew who she was.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always just finding that perfect balance of Z-list characters and A-list characters, and you know, make sure that everyone feels represented.
Yeah, it's been fun watching over the years. I've been coming to Free Comic Day here for years now, seeing that Squirrel Girl first showing up, and everyone was like, "Who's that girl? And why does she look that way?"
Yeah.
And then slowly Squirrel Girl gained popularity, and was like, "Oh, Squirrel Girl's here!" And now it's just like every time she's like the most popular person.
Well, my nephew for years, I would dress him up as Ant-Man,
Yeah.
and no one knew who he was. And then people have gone back and looked at pictures over the years, like, oh my God, he was Ant-Man because he's little.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they just lose their mind. You know, that's what we were doing.
Yeah, there's some amazing pictures over the years. I know I have taken a bunch of pictures at Free Comic Day. They're on the Facebook page. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. I'll also put up the flyer on the show notes so people can see the hours, the address, which we'll say here in a little bit, and the different sales for the different hours specifically on there. But yeah, go check out the Facebook page for New World Comics. I think it's /New World Comics OKC. So that'll be in the show notes for you to click, but there's a bunch of photos I and other people have taken over the years. They're really fun to look through.
Oh man, yeah, there's some just amazingly beautiful shots that they look like the most professional of professional shots. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's really fun to be, as a photographer, even being able to hang out and take pictures of all those heroes, but then see other people's pictures as well.
Yeah.
There's always people that come through with their cameras, tag the Facebook, and it's fun to see what photos get taken every year.
Yeah.
Is there anything else for Comic Day we should talk about?
I'm gonna have dollar back issues on the sidewalk. So I have a couple hundred boxes of free of dollar comics that, you know, anything that's priced $25 and down becomes $1.
Nice.
Outside, you know, for the first 7 hours.
Nice. Yeah, if people aren't familiar with New World Comics, one of the big things about them is they have more back issues than like anyone else, maybe in the world. I easily have the biggest back issue selection in the state. The back room is just filled with boxes full of back issues.
One way or another, it sounds very cloak and dagger of me to say, but yeah, I've seen the back rooms of just about every other comic shop, and I definitely have more back issues than. You know, not to say that I have more of the comic, but you know, I just have accumulated so much over all the years that.
Right.
Yeah, we actually just donated 9,600 comics to Britton Elementary.
Wow.
And I still have just thousands here. So I probably have tens of thousands of just comics that we need to bulk out. You know.
Yep. And not even looking at the back room, just on the showroom floor, there are tables and tables filled with long boxes everywhere, and more being made by the minute.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if you come by, you know, right now the week of, I have half the dollar comics out on the floor ready to deploy. So
that, I think, will do it for our talk on Free Comic Day. We're now going to move into our segment. Today we have another segment of People's History of Comics, this time with Nick Johnson from the Red 6 to Golden Corral podcast.
Welcome to another episode of People's History of Comics. Today we're here with Nick Johnson. Nick, do you want to tell us a little about yourself?
Hey, how's it going, Corey? How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm super excited for this. I am part-time secret agent, full-time.
Whoops.
Ooh, boy.
Cat's out of the bag.
I'm not good at this. Honestly, I should really cut the secret
That's
agent
why
stuff
it's only part-time.
Yeah. I've been trying. I've been applying for full-time positions. They're like, you've got one job. Keep the secret. Can't do it. No, I am a host or co-host on a Oklahoma podcast called Red 6 to Golden Corral, and we used to work together at the amazing establishment. I think it's kind of a big deal. I don't want to, whatever, but you might have heard of it. It's called Home Depot.
Yes.
It's kind of a big thing. You had somebody else on that was from Home Depot, though. Are you collecting us?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast is kind of like our pod people, and we collect people from Home Depot.
Yeah. I saw
them
in the back room, all those pods.
Right.
Very
yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like put a sheet over them or something so I can't see them.
Yeah. So we worked together at Home Depot for a while, a couple years, and good times.
It was good times. You were definitely a standout person there. I will say this, and I do not mean this as like to gush over you for letting me on your podcast finally after all the times I've been asking over and over and over again. But you are 100% one of the finest people I've ever met. So
well, thank you, Nick.
Yeah, it's the truth. Now your turn to say it back to me.
You're a pretty good person, Nick.
Ooh, well, that was under the bar.
No, I definitely had just tons of fun with you at Home Depot, and there was some kind of rough times for me at least,
Sure.
and you definitely made it bearable. I knew that I'd be able to go to work and hang out and have a good time and not have to think about all the terribleness of the world or whatever.
Right on. Well, I appreciate. I'm 3 little words. That's all I need to hear.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so let's just dig in.
Yeah.
How did you get into comics, and what was the first comic you remember reading as a child?
So, okay. Here's the thing. I can actually pinpoint it was a Christmas. I might even have a picture at home of this Christmas where my parents had put comic books in my stocking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think they were kind of testing the waters to see if this was something I would be interested in. They were, we always had books of mythology and fantasy and, things like The Hobbit was real big, in our house growing up. So they thought comics was going to be, this has got to be some. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and lo and behold, yes, it was.
It was natural.
Yeah. I 100%. I even brought the first comic. Now, this isn't the actual first, but this is a copy of the first comic I've ever
That's awesome.
that I read and owned. And it is Secret Wars 2, number 8. Now, this is that big splashy cover with the Beyonder crashing through the city, grabbing up heroes, and they're all doing their darndest to fight.
I kind of feel like that the Beyonder looks like Patrick Duffy from Dallas and Step by Step.
It's not. Is this what you're trying to say? Maybe that. You know what? You just brought a lot of threads together for me. I was a huge Dallas fan.
He's actually on the cover. He's killing JR right now.
It was such a question, but like it's
they
right
just
there.
solved it in Secret Wars.
Amazing.
Did you have a favorite comic series growing up?
Okay, so What If Comics, I loved that series. So off and on, I would go back to that. Now, I'm not going to say it's an amazing series because there's a lot of fillery type issues in there that aren't great. It's like, what if Cyclops loved tea instead of coffee? It's like, this is not an interesting story.
Yeah.
But I was, like everyone in our age group, I was a fan of Wolverine.
Yeah.
I did my time there. I did my time at Silver Surfer and Spider-Man. But I remember specifically when Darkhawk came out, I felt this is my
guy.
Yeah, I'm coming in issue number 1. Ooh, he's going to be such a big deal. Stuck with it for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, Darkhawk, I tried to put my stamp on as being like,
Nick Johnson's.
Oh yeah, like Darkhawk, guys. Darkhawk. You guys remember? Went on to New Warriors. Not sad times for Darkhawk. Definitely a step up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about currently?
Oh, okay. So I haven't really. I say current, but I'm probably a couple years behind, and probably 3 years behind you guys. So you guys are 100% spot on, up to date. I been reading IDW's Conan. I think Goon wrapped up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fear Agent was one I liked at the beginning for a good while, and then it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. Umbrella Academy was the series. Yeah, that I was a big fan of. But I haven't kept up with Gerard Way's. What's the other 2 he did after that?
Killjoys.
I feel like I could just throw out any like random question in this regard, and you're gonna have to pick it up. Yeah, it's amazing.
The other one is like the hallowed name of our podcast and Doom Patrol. He's redoing Doom Patrol.
That's right.
It's fantastic.
Oh, so it's the one he's doing is currently,
yeah.
And I've heard you guys talk about. So that's the one he's doing. And it's great.
It's amazing. the big name for Doom Patrol is Grant Morrison. His run on it is kind of legendary, like the one that everyone goes to. It is absolutely fantastic. But I feel like that Gerard Way really paves his own way while like showing his love of Grant Morrison's work. There's a lot of like little things in the new comics that are like references, Grant Morrison stuff. But it's fantastic. It's amazing.
I need to get on this because I'll be honest, Doom Patrol is one of these weird things that there's no one I talk to that doesn't say it's not amazing. And they're like, you have to do this. For some reason, it's become this hole I need to fill. So I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
And start
issue 19 with Grant Morrison.
Yes.
Wreckage of the Past is the story arc.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so, the first villain is the Scissormen, and their power is to cut you out of reality. They like walk up to you and there's just like a blank spot where someone was standing, and then they just don't exist anymore.
Okay. I'm on board. That sounds fun. I'm in on this.
It's great.
Yeah.
How have comic books affected you? Is there a comic arc that has had a big impact on you?
So, a big impact. It's going to be a weird one, but I'm going to have to actually go back to Infinity Gauntlet. Now, this is going to sound odd because when this came out, I was probably 10 years old, and it's a beat 'em up summer event comic, right?
Sure.
But there's real stakes going on in it, and that was kind of the first time I remember reading comics where it was like, the threat of loss and people actually dying in this comic occurred, and it was so heavy on me. And these heroes going against a villain that they knew going in they weren't going to win, and that was left this weird impression on me of like, well, this is what really being like the superhero comics is about. When you don't think you're going to win, when you're not, it's not your weekly, oh, well, how is he going to win?
Right.
You don't know exactly. I mean, at 10, I did not know. At 10, I thought all comics are ending,
Yeah.
But, for some reason that left a real impression on me. And I really started to look for the comics that had stakes involved and
Sure.
Was interested in that way. So, it's also weird right now because that's so big in the MCU and it's happening. So it's like, oh, are they going to do it? Are they going to go like hardcore like that? Am I going to see a jellified Wolverine? Do I get to see Hugh Jackman rubber suit?
I think that those like comics are really important because I think the general consensus, like the popular opinion is, what you were saying, that like comics are just kind of in that mindset of Spider-Man's going to win at the end.
Sure.
And it's just one issue, and kind of like the Batman TV series of the 60s, which is all fine and good, but like, I think superhero comics have a lot more depth than that,
Yeah.
And so things like Infinity Gauntlet, I think, are important to show how.
Well, and you got to think it, at 8, 10 years old and stuff like that, you're reading these comics and you think of superhero comics now being these kind of power fantasies for readers and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the time, you almost really need that because at that age, and I know I can say from my experience growing up, I felt very powerless and stuff like that.
Sure.
And so you had these role models in a way, and it was I don't know, like it leaves such a strong impact.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Do you have a favorite comic book movie or TV show?
So I'm not up on the Flash and Arrow. I'm missing out heavily from everything I've heard. So my favorite movie, I have to go back to The Rocketeer.
Rocketeer?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right? And I mean, like, how relevant right now?
Yeah.
Dude is punching Nazis left and right. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
And it was so weird to find out later, that this Rocketeer comic actually only started like in the early 80s.
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Like I kept thinking it was something that had this long history, like The Shadow or something.
Right.
But I love that movie. That movie holds up. I'm calling it right now. Like you go back, you go back, you turn into a chicken momentarily. Go back in time, but you go back and watch that movie, and like as a movie, I think it's still holds up, and as a heroic story, like it's pretty awesome.
It is a pretty awesome movie. I'll admit I haven't watched it since the first time I watched it when I was probably like 12 or something.
Oh yeah,
but I loved it then, and I can only imagine how great it would be now.
Yeah.
Okay, a cruel deity is about to destroy every comic in the world. You get to save 5 story arcs. What do you choose?
Who is this deity that's doing this? What like Neo Hitler?
He's
got
tiny hands and an orange face.
Oh man! I'm riled up now. I'm upset. I'm angered. Yeah. So, this is one where obviously we're just talking about my picks. There's going to be a lot of people that are left sad and upset.
Sure,
by this.
sure.
So I'm going to put these out there in no real order, but I think it's fair to start off with the Infinity Gauntlet from 91.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was, again, such an awesome. I'm terrible because I'm the guy that you guys hate because I'm the guy that goes in and is like, oh, what's the summer event? Ooh, who's the big smash up fight against? Like, oh, this intellectual comic pass.
Forget that.
Yeah, who needs this? But yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet. Second one I'm going to put on there would be Silver Surfer Requiem.
Okay.
That one is, I actually came across recently within the past year or so, and I was blown away. Here's the thing. Go to the public library.
Uh-huh.
Looking around, see this. I'm like, oh, this is a standoff Silver Surfer. I haven't read this, anything, Silver Surfer in so many years. Take it home, and it's an amazing, touching story, and it deals with death and, coming to terms with it, but also how you're going out and how you spend your, your last moments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's not just how you spend your last moments, but the impact you spent your life leaving on people really has significance on those last moments. You know what I mean? It's wildly touching, and one of my definitely on my list. I don't know if that's one that you had a chance. If not,
I'll definitely be checking it out.
Please do, because it is for a Silver Surfer story, right? So amazing. Yeah. Third one. Okay, so look, hey man, you asked me for a list, and I've got to put this one on there because this might be a bit personal of a pick for me. But Villains United is actually a DC one that was a part of, I think it was the Infinite Crisis. Anyways, so it's an offshoot story off the big summer event.
Yeah.
Infinite Crisis. And it's kind of like a Suicide Squad type story with this group of 6 being put, I think the Secret 6 they call themselves, being put together.
Yeah.
Okay. And they've got a task, that they're trying to accomplish through this. And again, like, it is dark. It's real. I mean, they get captured, tortured, it's really, really dark. But at the same time, it doesn't dwell on those aspects. It kind of covers it through there. And them coming together, they're this loser team. They're like the leftovers, and they get a chance to go up against the big boys. And it's a really fun read. I don't know if it's a great comic, but I loved it.
Sure.
I loved it. Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that I loved it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So whether or not you loved it
doesn't matter.
Does not matter.
Yeah.
I love this. So next I got to put Kingdom Come.
Okay.
On there. That was one that just coming across that I think that was the first time I'd actually seen stuff by Alex Ross, and
pretty fantastic artist.
Right?
Yeah.
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's a little better than I am. You know what I mean? And that's just an amazing. I like all these stories that are kind of like the sort of what ifs, kind of elsewhere's
Right,
kind of thing going on. You get a lot of freedom in your writing with those that I don't think you're not allowed to have
Right.
in the normal runs. So last, I'm gonna go Superman Red Sun, and that's so much fun.
Yeah.
Superman landing in Russia,
Yeah.
right? What if a what if comic from
Right.
DC?
Right.
Yeah, like and not only that, it doesn't just kind of run with that little. I mean, it takes that concept and runs with it, right? You get the entire breadth of that story, and from beginning to end, and where the end goes, and where that end goes, and then it has a really interesting finale to it that kind of ties everything back together. And I don't know if it's like great or if it's like cute way.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I think that like Mark Miller has a really great ability to write what if comics. Like he wrote Old Man Logan. What if
Right.
Wolverine was in this apocalyptic dystopian wasteland? He wrote Huck. Like what if Superman was not Superman? If he was just like a regular guy, if he never like adopted the superhero persona or whatever,
Right.
And so,
Yeah. I need more of this though. I mean, this happens. This isn't like some small drop in the water. People are writing these kind of stories.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. And like I said, I think it just really provides a freedom for their writing to tell an interesting story over worrying about continuity and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so you can have drinks with one comic character, the character, not the actor who played them or the historical person they're based on. Who is it?
Man. See, I don't know. There was so many ways I wanted to take this.
Okay.
I was like, it's going to be Tony Stark, and I'm going to berate him for falling off the wagon.
Yeah.
But I have to, if you're going to have drinks with someone, give me like, give me Thor. Like, let's smash glasses at the end of it. Let's, let's like really have a drink. Conversation,
Who cares?
So, yeah,
You're
it's
drinking.
gonna be fine. Right,
Yeah.
right. He's not gonna get over my head. I'm not, gonna get
Right.
over his head. This will be fine.
Yeah.
It might be a little awkward when he's talking about all his fights, and I'm like, well, once I was tickled really hard by my sister.
You get enough, like, you drink like one cup of mead or whatever, and like, it doesn't really matter what you're talking about, like,
Right.
Language loses all context.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so final question. What's the last comic you read?
Oh, it's my intention to go out on a bummer note. So, I had a friend, and I wanted to be true to this question.
Yeah.
So I had a friend who I had lent some of IDW's Conan run to because I'm a big Conan fan, and he found it to be too wordy.
Okay.
And so he was like, no, guy. That Conan talked too much. Check out this, and it's called Skull Kickers. And yeah. Ooh, I felt. Oh, I want to hear your opinion.
Well, I thought that like I saw the comic and like read something about it that it was like this kind of like silly fantasy, and it was called Skull Kickers, and like that seems like it'd be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I read one issue, and then I decided my time could be better spent reading other comics. But I mean, that's my take on it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not for me.
And that's just it. I would absolutely agree. It's not bad. I think there's there's a mood you have to be in, and a desire for a certain style.
Yeah. Okay.
And it has a very, it's like, this is cool. And so unfortunately, when I was thinking it was going to be an analog for Conan, it's not quite. It's it's very cool language and cool styles to it. And maybe honestly, I'm going to be real here. Like 15, 20 years ago, I would have thought this was the most amazing thing ever.
Sure.
Now, I'm not trying to say that's a maturity issue, but where I was, at that age, I was like, oh, this would have been I would have been like, let's get tattoos at Skull Kickers. Yeah.
I think, everybody enjoys different things. Everybody's on a different level.
Absolutely.
And we both agree that it's not for us. And that's great
That
because
just happens to be.
it's going to be great for someone else.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, that friend of mine loves it. And, it's not that he has poor taste or anything like
Sure.
that. He's
that's his thing.
yeah, that was his jam.
Okay. So let me ask you this. This is a follow-up question.
Oh, I can't wait.
What's the last comic you read that you enjoyed? Gotcha. You weren't prepared for that
I wasn't
one.
ready. Oh, these gotcha questions. Look. here's
Gotcha
the
journalism.
thing. Fake news. No, I think that I started reading Saga on recommendation by my wife. And I was like, this is great. I did not. Okay, I am one of those people that was like, oh, everyone made such a big deal about it. Like, is it going to live up to this hype?
Right, yeah.
And I started reading it. And I was like, yeah, this is great. Which doesn't always happen. Tried Lock and Key.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of people love this. Not really big into kind of like child endangerment stories. So it was a little like, but Saga was fantastic. I pat the table so you would know. That was really serious.
I really love Saga. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. I agree.
I've got one for you.
Okay.
What was the last comic that you read that made you think of me?
That made me think of you.
Mm-hmm. And if it was Archie, I'll give you 2 points.
The last comic I read that made me think of you.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel like you've got an answer. I feel like you're stalling for time now.
No. I'm not repeating the question to give myself more time to think about it.
Classic.
I think I would have to say there's a comic called The Fix that is kind of it's about these like kind of two guys that are I guess henchmen for like a upper level gangster or whatever,
I love it.
But they're also crooked cops.
Okay.
And they just like screw everything up. And like so I guess like the hijinks that we had at Home Depot makes me think of the hijinks.
I love it.
Of The Fix.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Now, can I ask you for one for real?
Yeah.
This is a real deal question.
Okay.
Since I am a guy that I'm not an adventurer, right? I'm not the explorer of comics. I look for people like you to help me out in that department. So, if I was going to read something that was new and not let's say a little more independent, like what would be your?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I thought as we were talking, I really want to recommend a comic to Nick. And this isn't necessarily a independent title.
Great.
It's on DC.
Never heard of it.
But it's a really great concept. Okay,
Yes.
So there's a classic character that Jack Kirby created called Commandi. That's basically like a Conan kind of guy.
Okay, great.
And so currently there's a series called the Commandi Challenge.
Oh, right.
And
Right.
they partner together, writers and illustrators. And so the first writer and illustrator created the first issue, and it ends on a cliffhanger. The next writer has to pick up where the last writer left off.
Yes.
And so it's a different style of writing, different style of illustration every time. And the bonus is that it, instead of having a letter section, there's only one letter, and it's from the previous writer, and he writes, "This is how I would have got Commandi out of this like cliffhanger."
Oh.
So you get like the best of both worlds by reading
Yes.
this.
You know what? I'm gonna. Well, I don't have a pen on me, so I would literally write it down right now. But that sounds amazing. I love that.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
It is great. I think there's like 2, maybe 3 issues out so far, and like only 12 total.
Wow. The
Yeah.
Commandi Challenge.
The Commandi Challenge, yeah.
Yeah. I'm in on this.
Great. So do you want to plug your show one more time?
Yeah,
before we
sure. Come on down. Check out Red 6 to Golden Corral. It is an explicit language podcast, though, so just FYI. And, 3 white guys between the ages of 18 and 35 talk about geek culture. No, it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We talk about movies, video games, /fiction, comic books, and just anything that comes up that we can have an entertaining conversation about. And it's a lot of fun. And if you're listening to this, I hope you come check it out, because at some point soon we've got to have you guys on there and teach us how to be real comic book readers.
Where can we find you? Where do you live, Nick?
Yeah, I will find you. You can find us at red62goldencorral.com or red the number 6 TOGC on Twitter at I don't do this part of it. Can we just say hey man, just go to red62goldencorral.com. You can look for us. We'll have a few laughs. It'll be great.
All right.
Yeah.
That works.
Thank you. No, thank you so very much. Hey, thanks a lot for having me on, by the way.
It was such a pleasure. We reconnected last July at the New World Comic Con, and I was super, super duper stoked to see you there.
Yeah.
And able to talk, and I've been really excited to get you on our podcast, and I'm glad that we finally made it happen.
It was so great.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention that you had a live a setup there. And
We did, yeah.
Didn't ask at all for me to be on.
Well, yeah.
I noticed you had literally everybody else on. There were people that you had the janitor on.
We stopped the cleaning crew and asked them to be on. Someone was driving down the road eating a bucket of chicken, and
well, you can't turn that down.
No,
That's
it's a bucket of chicken.
Yeah.
But
yeah, man.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been fun.
Bye.
And now we're back to give recommendations. Buck, what would you recommend to our listeners this episode for them to either watch comic book wise or to read?
To watch comic book wise, I would say Powerless on NBC, but apparently that's getting axed.
I enjoyed those first couple of episodes.
Oh
I
my
didn't
gosh.
watch past that, but
Yeah, it's one of those where it seemed kind of hokey here and there, and then every now and then they'd have a joke that just floored me.
it was a fun idea. I hope that Marvel continues through with their idea to do damage control as a show.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it worked the same way, I just really loved the way that the cast, fell
Yeah.
together. It felt, I mean, even without Danny Pudi there, it felt like a community.
Yeah, it had some of my favorite actors in it. So
Yeah. Outside of that, the CW shows have gotten so much better and so far beyond the CW mold.
yeah,
The girls just walking up and having problems for no reason and crying. And,
Yep.
it's nice to see them get past their own sexist trope.
Yeah, relationship issues. The network.
Yeah.
CW.
As far as stuff to read, Wasp. Oh my God, I need everyone in the world to read Wasp.
Yeah.
And from Image, I just recently picked up Beauty.
Oh yeah, that's something I've been meaning to read. I got the first volume and still haven't cracked it open.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's about this STD that people intentionally go out and get, and it makes you beautiful, and it heals you, but you have this fever, and what no one really knows, and what gets revealed in like the first issue is that it kills you.
Yeah.
Thousands of people are getting this, and paying people to get this disease, and yeah.
Well, as for me, as per usual, when talking about the comics I've read recently, I tipped my hand a bit, but Black Hammer, everyone should be reading Black Hammer. Black Hammer is amazing. Black Hammer is beautiful. Yes, read it, do it, go now. What are you doing? Still listening to this podcast and not holding that comic in your hands, or ordering it off Amazon, or coming into New World if you are in the area.
We will have many copies on Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, there you go. Come in, use your discount, and get that comic I just suggested to you.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us, Buck. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your shop, plug yourself, and where we can find you?
Well, yeah, you can always find me here every day but Sunday at New World Comics, 6219 North Meridian. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and I believe we have an Instagram now, thanks to Stephanie.
Yep.
So you can
follow
track
that Instagram.
you can track us down through those locations. But yeah, the shop here has been here since 1983 and going strong. So.
Yeah. I just realized looking at the table behind you that we never mentioned that you have a giant Groot costume that you handmade, and we never mentioned that you actually handmake a lot of the costumes.
Oh, yeah.
So just quick note at the end, Buck's amazing. He makes amazing costumes, and that's a whole nother reason to go track down these photos if you don't live in the Oklahoma area, or to come to the shop if you do live in the Oklahoma area. ASAP, especially on Free Comic Book Day when a lot of these costumes are going to be out and about. So that'll do it for this episode of Read Brave. As always, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Graphocast, GRAPHOCAST. Check out the Twitter at @read_brave and follow us on Instagram at @readbravecomics. So thanks for joining us, Buck.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, enjoy your Free Comic Book Day, and we'll see you next week. This has been a Graphomania production. If you would like to hear more podcasts, go to graphocast.com, GRAPHOCAST.com. Follow us on Twitter at Graphocast and like the Graphomania page on Facebook for news and updates.